Chief Strategy Officer of ZOTT, Taylor Carroll. Taylor is a cancer survivor, and he's going to tell a little bit about his story from the patient side of things and how ZOTT came about. So please join me in welcoming Taylor to the stage.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor Carroll, and I am the co-founder of both Game Changer Charity and ZOTT. Perhaps more saliently for our conversation tonight, I am also a terminal cancer survivor. Looking at tonight, I can imagine that you all have received quite a flurry of information from exciting companies, innovators, peers, but I'd imagine it's a bit overwhelming. And in that flurry, it can be easy to lose sight of the impact that these technologies, that your work has on individual patients, on the lives of the families that are in your hospitals. And so that's what I intend to focus on with the 10 or 15 minutes that we'll be chatting together. This was me back in 2006. At 11 years old, I was diagnosed terminal with a rare form of cancer, Philadelphia chromosome positive, ALL, and due to the severity of it, was given roughly 2 weeks left to live. Thankfully, it's been a long 2 weeks. I am entirely healthy, but I ended up spending roughly 5 years of my life in hospital. During those 5 years in hospital, I ended up spending roughly 6 months in an isolation unit. During those 6 months, I temporarily lost the ability to walk, to speak, to eat, and to see. But in that darkness, in that incredible pain that my family felt, we also saw incredible light in the form of care providers, family friends, patients, nurses, doctors, clinicians, all coming together to work for this common good of providing support, care, and love to patients everywhere. In that darkness, we also saw an incredible need for innovation in the hospital environment, particularly regarding using gaming, technology, innovation to support patients' rights to play, to learn, to socialize. For children in the hospital bed to seniors in the hospital bed. That energy and that passion initially manifested in my dad and I co-founding Game Changer Charity. Game Changer Charity started as a nonprofit that resolved to collect used video games, PlayStations, Nintendo 64s, I got a little side music, to donate to game rooms, to hospital playrooms. And within a matter of months, we had donations from Kabul, from Pakistan, from Asia, from everywhere around the globe. And as you can imagine, our family garage quickly filled with Nintendos. Any young boy's dream and any mom's nightmare. So we went from a small warehouse to a larger warehouse. Within a matter of months, that warehouse filled up. From there, we went to a larger warehouse where, again, it filled up thanks to this community of individuals focused on supporting patients and families around the globe. Eventually, 12 years later, Game Changer Charity has grown into an international nonprofit, which this year alone has brought in over $27 million worth of donations, with 93 cents on every dollar going to the cause, going to supporting patients and families everywhere. Today at Game Changer, we provide our support through 3 main avenues. First, character-based scholarships. We work with child life staff and clinicians to find patients who have been exceptional to fellow patients, to the hospital community, and the only metric for their qualification is being a good person. And those scholarships are used to award anything from four-year universities to trade schools to coding boot camps, anything to support patients to see beyond their post-hospital dreams, beyond the walls that they've lived in for days, weeks, months, or years. The second is with Game Changer Days. Coming into the hospital to sit down with child life staff, with nursing staff, to learn about their pain points and day-to-day care for patients and families. With those insights, we build custom gaming solutions for the hospitalized patients everywhere, from rigs that are perfect for dialysis units that can be moved to mouth consoles, to mouth controllers, so that patients who have lost mobility of their hands can still feel empowered, can still feel as if they have agency over their entertainment. Third, we use virtual reality and augmented reality. VR for distraction therapy by creating immersive experiences so patients are taken away from the boredom and the isolation that they feel. Education, clinical education, so that patients can simulate the surgeries and experiences they'll soon be going through. And finally, end-of-life care. We've seen, and as many of you see, there are an incredible number of patients in the hospital who will never leave. Every one of my best friends on their hospital floor, they had dreams, and they had hopes and aspirations. And I was the only patient to leave. But we resolved that it was unacceptable for patients not to be able to experience their bucket lists, their dreams, the things that they hunger to do with their lives. So we gift them with custom virtual reality rigs, so that if they dream to see the pyramids of Giza, they can walk through the pyramids. If they hunger to peruse the streets of Paris, they can do so. So they can see and experience the things that they desire to do most, they'll never be able to do in person. With Game Changer Charity, we have had the incredible privilege to hold the hands of over 25,000 patients and families over the past 3 years alone. I've had the opportunity to visit over 20,000 hospital rooms personally. And in all of those hospital rooms, we continued to see this systemic need for innovation, for giving patients access to any form of content, any form of entertainment, stimulation, education that they want. We saw that patients from higher socioeconomic backgrounds had access to laptops, to tutors, to textbooks, so that while they were in the hospital, they could stay intellectually stimulated and engaged, have better impact while in the hospital, and succeed more post-hospitalization, if that means either returning to school for pediatric patients or returning to the workforce in our adult populations. Conversely, we saw patients who were understandably from lower socioeconomic backgrounds struggling to cover their chemo bills or pay for their mortgage, being relegated to 12 channels of basic cable, and as a result, intellectually stagnating, struggling when and if they left the hospital. Those friends that I made in the hospital who came from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, they still struggle to get their GED or to hold minimum wage jobs. Whereas I, despite missing 5 years of school, was able to graduate Harvard. The only differentiating factor was access to intellectually stimulating content. And that's something that we knew we needed to change. Sensing this huge issue of patient engagement and access to content in the hospital environment, we saw it was an issue bigger than what Game Changer Charity alone could fix. So we created a for-profit C corporation, ZOTT, which is owned in majority by Game Changer Charity. ZOTT is a cloud-first content distribution system that takes content from that one TV at the end of the wall for everyone in that hospital room to see, and instead pushes it to any web-enabled device. So that when I was in the hospital, my mom could go to the cafeteria when she's tired of yelling at me to take my medicine and watch CNN on her phone for a few minutes. My brother, who was missing school, could go watch a custom and exclusive live stream educating him on how to code through WeCode, a female organization at Harvard teaching boys and girls basic Java and HTML. My dad could watch a Hollywood movie. We all could have our own forms of content and humanity and personal expression while we were in the hospital environment. And that's exactly what we resolved to build. ZOTT today brings together all of these different forms of content to any device everywhere in the hospital, from live TV through our exclusive relationship with AT&T DirecTV, to custom and exclusive live streams, to Hollywood movies, to live streaming, to a curated YouTube garden, to gaming, to clinical content, and more. There is so much to talk about with all these content, from the TV, which filters for age appropriateness, but again, focusing on the individual patient. I want to look at one very specific issue that we're seeking to target, and that I know all of you in your incredible efforts are targeting yourselves. And that is socialization and community in the hospital. Something I experienced in my 6 months in the isolation unit was utter aloneness. My parents weren't able to enter my room. My siblings weren't able to enter my room. The only human interaction I had for those months was a doctor in a hazmat suit walking in and out, or my nurse coming in, giving the love they can, but being overburdened by the fact that they need to service 10, 15, 20 patients in their routine. So we sought to target that and address that, and that's what inspired the live streaming component of what ZOTT offers. Along with all these other forms of content, we curate and create this exclusive library and catalog of live streamers who every day of every week create live content exclusively for hospitalized populations. Are any of you familiar with live streaming? Think Facebook Live, YouTube Live, where there's an influencer on the screen, there's a chat room on the side, and that influencer interacts with the comments of the patient. We saw this as something that was impacting individuals globally. With Twitch TV, we saw individuals in Japan and Korea who've been isolated, feeling a sense of community. So we thought, why not implement this in the hospital environment? Not only did we implement it, we also brought the co-founder of Twitch, who just sold Twitch technology to Amazon for over $1 billion, onto ZOTT to be our chief technologist. His son is a cancer survivor as well, leading him to our mission. But with these live streams, we have on Mondays, We Code, teaching young boys and girls how to code. On Wednesdays, we have musicians teaching patients, young and old, how to play the ukulele or piano or guitar. On Fridays, we have little Siha, the 2-time Just Dance World Champion, do a combination of dances where she's standing, sitting, lying down. So the patients who can stand, patients who are wheelchair-bound, patients who are bed-bound, can move and can supplement physical therapy goals. And all along this content that's explicitly made for them, they can interact with the streamer. They can interact with the peers at every other ZOTT hospital so that they feel connected, so that they feel a sense of community, so that if they wake up at 3 in the morning because their IV pole is beeping for the 5th time, they can go onto a platform and see that there are 30 other patients on at the exact same time as them, so that they're not alone in that suffering, in that experience that they're temporarily feeling. At the end of the day, that is exactly what Game Changer ZOTT, and largely all of us here, are striving to do. To create experiences and opportunities so that patients, families everywhere across the globe, they know that they're not alone. One of the most painful things of hospitalization is that perceived feeling of isolation. Feeling as if you are the only individual going through this suffering, going through this pain. And that's what we are so excited to be addressing and targeting together. I'm so inspired to see the work and the thoughts that all of you have as you pioneer your own spaces, and these fellow companies come to pioneer and innovate in the space. And at the end of the day, in every conversation that we have, I just want to thank you and remind you that you are impacting patients every day. This isn't work for bottom lines. Of course, we need to be optimal and to run things like a business, but this is changing patients' lives. This is influencing families across the globe. And we are really grateful to be learning and talking with you. Thank you all.